Hey guys, logic lesson 49, part 2, subimplication and superimplication. So we started this yesterday, we didn't take any notes. We're going to continue this lesson today. Before we do that, a couple of things to go over. We will have a test coming up probably next week. I don't think it will be this week, probably next week. Over chapter 5, I believe it is. And remember, your tests are over your notes. So whatever notes we take in class, that's what your tests will be over. So study your notes. So I want you to get out your notebooks and make sure you have all your logic notes since we started this new book, right? The new book is The Discovery of Deduction. All your notes that we've started since this new book is what the test can potentially be over. Also, wanted to remind you that you must turn your logic lessons in with your transfer folders. So take a second, pause this video, find your transfer folder, so that folder that we sent home with either you or your parents, whoever came to school to pick it up, says your name on it. Find that folder and put all of your logic lessons that you've done since we've been under quarantine in that folder, okay? And send it to school tomorrow. Either bring it, if you're the one bringing it, or send it with one of your parents or whoever comes to bring it in, right? So pause the video, find the transfer folder, put all your logic lessons in there that you've done so far. All right, we got that done. It's very important. I haven't gotten many logic lessons turned in. Hans turned some in. Well done, Hans. Heidi turned some in. Good job, Heidi. And Slade turned a bunch in. He's actually taking pictures with his phone and texting them to me because he lives way out in Booney land, somewhere out there. Off the grid. No, I'm just kidding. But he lives far away, so he doesn't have to drive down here every time. I let him take pictures and send it to me. However, the rest of you, I don't want you to do that because if we all did that, it could get pretty convoluted and confusing. So, yeah, the logic lessons that you've done, make sure you tear them out, put them in your folder, and send them to school tomorrow. From 2:30 to 3:30 is drop-off day, right? So what do you do with your logic lessons that you're done with? Good job. Send them to school tomorrow. All right, we need to make sure we get those turned in so I can score them. Okay, so let's do a little bit of review. Subcontrariety is the relationship between what? And again, you should have your notes out. The last thing we wrote down is if one subcontrary proposition is true, it does not necessitate the truth or falsity of the other. That should be the last thing we wrote down in our notes. So you should have your notebook open to that section. So again, the question is, in subcontrariety, it is the relationship between what propositions? I and O propositions. Good job. The relationship between subcontrary propositions is that both can be what at the same time? Both can be what at the same time? Both can be true at the same time. Good job. However, if one is false, the other must be true. Good. They cannot both be false. So where is our relationship of subcontrariety on the square of opposition? On the bottom, right? The relationship between O and I propositions. They can both be true. They cannot both be false. Got it. All right. Very good. How about contrary propositions. Where are contrary propositions diagrammed on the square of opposition? Yes, at the top. The relationship between what two propositions? A and E. Contrary propositions cannot both be what at the same time? They cannot both be true at the same time. If one is true, the other must be false. They can both be false at the same time, but they cannot both be true. So the opposite of subcontrary, subcontrariety. Subcontrariety, they can both be true, but they cannot both be false. Contrariety, they can both be false, but they can't both be true. How about contradiction? Where do we find that on the square of opposition? Right in the middle. It's the relationship between A and O statements and the relationship between E and I statements, right? So if, what is the relationship between contradictory propositions? If one is true, the other is false. If one is false, the other is true. They cannot both be false. They cannot both be true. Awesome job. What are the 5 relationships of categorical propositions? Contradiction, contrariety, subcontrariety, subimplication, and superimplication. So, what is an A statement? What is the, categorical form of an A statement? All S is P. Awesome. How about an O statement? What is it? Some S is not P. So we call that particular negative. Right? How about an E statement? No S is P. We call that a universal negative, right? How about an I statement? Some S is P. We call that a particular affirmative statement. Let's jump back to the beginning of where we started the lesson on formal logic. I wish I could tell you which lesson this is. I'm not sure what number it is, but it's where we started learning about formal logic. Okay, so if you can page back, formal logic is what kind of logic? It's reasoning in the abstract. Okay, it's mostly deductive. Concentrates on understanding the form of what? The form of an argument. It can be analyzed using what? Symbols. It focuses on the form or structure of arguments rather than what the argument is about. So it's looking at the structure in more of a systematic or mathematical kind of way. And it's either valid or invalid. The unexamined life is not what? Worth living. Quote from Socrates. Let's see. Inductive reasoning starts with evidence that we can observe and compile. It works toward generalizations that are reasonably accurate with more or less probability. And these kind of arguments are either strong or weak. Deductive reasoning starts with what? Propositions that are assumed as a starting point. These are called axioms or postulates. Very good. They are more black and white, and they're either valid or invalid. And again, it's what we're learning in this book. He that cannot reason is a fool. He that will not is a bigot. He that dare not is a slave. Andrew Carnegie said that. So, we're going to stop reviewing there for now, and we're going to get started on our lesson. So I've got some notes written up here. Again, this is not all of them. You need to make sure you watch the video all the way to the end to make sure you get everything. And again, this seems a little complicated sometimes. I hope you're understanding it. If you're having trouble, let me know. All right. So far, again, we've learned contradiction, we've learned contrariety, we've learned subcontrariety, and we're starting on subimplication and superimplication. So today we are going to look at subimplication. Subimplication, again, write these down in your notes after the last lesson that we did. Subimplication is the relationship between universal propositions and their particulars. Okay? Subimplication, relationship between universal propositions and their particulars. So this is the relationship from A to I and from E to O. Okay? So A to I, E to O. Now I didn't write up superimplication yet because I don't want it to get too convoluted. So, and besides, today we're just focusing on subimplication. All right? So the relationship from A to O, or sorry, E to O and A to I. I'll let the bottom thing there in case you're still working on that. Let's see. So the truth of the universal implies the truth of the particular. Did I say that? The truth of the universal implies the truth of the particular. So in other words, these two, A and E, are both universal, right? All S is P, no S is P. Okay? All S is P, no S is P. They're both universal. One is universal positive, one is universal negative, right? If these are true, that implies that these are also going to be true. If E is true, O is going to be true. If A is true, I is going to be true. Now notice that these arrows only go one way, okay? So this is not saying anything about how O relates to E. This is saying how E relates to O, or A relates to I, okay? It's a one-way relationship, all right? So if E is true, you know that O is true, all right? We're not saying anything about if O is true, we know if E is true. That's not even in the equation. This is a one-way relationship. Anybody ever had a one-way relationship? You were doing all the work. That's what it is, all right? So if E is true, it means O is true. So let's put down one way. The falsity of the universal does not necessitate the truth or falsity of its particular. I'm going to go ahead and erase this and get it out of our way. The falsity of the universal does not necessitate the truth or falsity of its particular. I hope that's all in the camera. I'm going to step around behind the camera and just make sure all those words are in it. There, hopefully that will make sure. I'll go ahead and read it to make sure you get it all, okay? The falsity of the universal does not necessitate the truth or the falsity of its particular. Okay, so we already said that if E is true, it means that O is going to be true as well. However, if E is false, we don't know if O is true or not. Okay? If E is true, O is true. If E is false, we don't know what O is. Okay? It doesn't say. It doesn't tell us. So when a universal is false, the truth value of the particular is unknown. Okay, so when a universal, let me read it again. When a universal is false, the truth value of the particular is unknown. All right? So let me give you some examples. So an A statement. Let me move the camera to make sure you can see the square of opposition once again. So you have an A statement. Let's say something like all cows are mammals. All cows are mammals. And then you have an I statement that says some cows are mammals. All cows are mammals. Some cows are mammals. All cows are mammals. Is that true? Yes, that's true. So that means what? That is also true. Okay? If all cows are mammals, that means that some cows are mammals. Now, here's the thing you got to think about. When you use the word some in logic, we use it a little bit differently than when we use it in regular conversation, right? If I come up to you and say, some cows are mammals, you think that I'm implying by that only some of them are, but the rest aren't, all right? In logic, that's not the case. Just because I say some cows are mammals doesn't necessarily mean that I'm implying that the rest are not. So in other words, think of it as a group, right? All cows are mammals. That's true. Some cows are mammals. Is this group mammals? Yes. So if all cows are mammals, then some cows are mammals. I hope that helps explain things. But anyway, so yeah, if this one's true, that means that this one is also true. Now, what if I say this? All cows are dumb. Okay? Now, I grew up on a farm, and I worked around animals, and sometimes animals can be really dumb, right? But is it true that animals are, or that all cows are dumb? Is that true? No, that's not true. So if I give the I statement version of that, and I say some cows are dumb, does the falsity of the first one necessitate the falsity of the second one? So if I say all cows are dumb, that's a false statement, right? Because there are some cows that are actually really smart. They're really good at like getting out of their pen and finding, places to get food where they're not supposed to, and Caleb probably knows all about this. Some cows are actually really, really smart, right? So if I say all cows are dumb, that's false. Okay? And then if I say some cows are dumb, I don't know if that's true or false, right? I don't know by the first one, right? It could be true, maybe some cows are dumb. It could be false, because maybe all cows are not dumb, right? Maybe they're all smart. So now I might know that intuitively, that some cows are dumb and some are smart, but I can't tell that by the first statement, because the first one was false. And if the first one is false, then I don't know what the second one is. Okay? If A is false, I don't know if I is false or not. Let me give you another one. So let's say somebody comes up to you and says the Chinese are a bunch of self-centered liars who care so little about anyone else that they covered up the coronavirus, and now it's spreading around the world, killing thousands of people. Okay? So let's say somebody makes that kind of statement to you. And that doesn't sound fair, right? Something doesn't sound quite right about that. So let's turn that into an E statement. Let's say that no Chinese are honest and selfless. Because that's, no, I shrunk it down and I took some words out. But that's kind of basically what he's saying, right? No Chinese are honest and selfless. Okay, so that's an E statement. And then the O statement version of that would be, some Chinese are not honest and selfless. The first statement, is that true? No Chinese are honest and selfless. No, that's not true. So once again, I don't know. Again, according to the rules of logic, I don't know if O is true or not. Now, I do know that it is true, that some are not, right? But anyway, now one thing about this, what did that particular statement do? It stereotyped a bunch of people, and this is the important thing about subimplication, okay? So we're going to write down a quote. Because people say those kind of things, right? Especially when something like the coronavirus is going on. People will lump people into huge categories. They will stereotype. So let's write down, it is wise to use universal propositions sparingly. It is wise to use universal propositions sparingly and cautiously because they can carry implications. Because they can carry implications that you do not intend. Okay, so have you ever done this? You made some kind of a big, bold, universal proposition type of statement about a group of people, and then you realized that one of the people listening to you actually falls into that category, okay? I remember one time I was riding with some youth in Oregon. I was visiting there for a friend's wedding, and I was riding with these guys around in their car. I didn't even really know them very well. I think I didn't have a vehicle or something, so I was just hitching a ride with them. And this one dude made this big time universal proposition type statement that all people from Pennsylvania are arrogant and hard to get along with or something like that. And I don't remember his exact words, but that was kind of the implication that everybody from Pennsylvania acts a certain way. They're arrogant, they think they're better than everyone else, and that kind of thing. I'm from Pennsylvania, and there I was, sitting in the car, hearing him say that, right? So you've probably been in that situation. You've probably maybe even been guilty of that. You made kind of a big picture, bold statement, and then you realize that somebody in the crowd that is listening to you, maybe the very person you're talking to, actually falls into that category. And immediately you want to say, no, I didn't really mean you. I meant everybody else, but not you, right? See, so that's why you have to be careful with using universal statements in that way. We end up stereotyping people. And this is actually where racism comes from, right? So the whole thing about the Chinese, there's actually been quite a few Chinese and Asian people who have been beat up and hurt because of this coronavirus. People are blaming China, which, China as a country and some of the people there do share some of the responsibility for what is happening. However, does that mean that every Chinese person or every Asian person is a part of that? Absolutely not, right? So we can't lump them all in the same category, but there are people in the United States and in Great Britain, Asian people who are getting beat up just because they're Asian or just because they're Chinese. Okay? So when you do this too much, you start lumping people into stereotypes. But you could turn it around, right? You could, we could say that about Chinese, but we could turn that around and we could say white people are all racists who think that their ethnicity is superior to everyone else, right? Do we want people to think that about us? Do we want people to think that all of us white people were out there looking for Chinese to beat them up? I hope not, right? I have a Chinese kid that lives in my home, so I better not be doing that. So anyway, yeah, we don't want people to lump us into that category, right? We don't want people, to stereotype us. So have you ever felt lumped into a group? Think about that. What is a particular group that you might feel lumped into? How about if some, 30, 40-year-old comes along and says something like, teenagers these days, right? And then whatever they say after that. Teenagers these days are lazy, they don't like to work, they don't listen, all they do is care about themselves, you can't rely on them, all kinds of things like that, right? You've probably heard those kind of statements. And if you've heard them, it's hurtful, right? Because it's like, wait a second, I'm a teenager. No, I'm not, you guys are. And you're in that category. And when somebody says that kind of a, universal proposition, when they use that kind of universal proposition and you are in that category, you immediately feel marginalized because they're talking about you. Now, again, most people that do that say those things, they don't really mean it that way. If you said to them, well, are you really talking about every teenager in the world? They're probably going to say, no, there's some that aren't. But when they said it, they said teenagers. They implied every teenager, right? They implicated every teenager. So the point that I'm trying to make is that we need to be careful, with these universal statements. And that's where subimplication comes in. So yeah, how about maybe, there's other categories, other things that you might be lumped into. So Marissa, what is a category that you get lumped into sometimes maybe? How about blonde, right? So all gals with blonde hair tend to get lumped into this category of people who are sort of dumb, they don't use their heads, they use their beauty to get what they want, or whatever, right? Now, some blondes might be like that, not all of them. So anyway, just a way to help us remember to be careful about stereotyping. But that's subimplication. Subimplication is when the truth of a universal implies the truth of the particular. So if the universal is true, the particular must also be true. If the universal is false, then we don't know if the particular is true or false. All right, guys, keep your heads up, keep at it. Remember again what you do with your completed logic assignments. Send them to school with your folders tomorrow. Have a good one.